Hello, 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 and happy hump day. What's going on, Mr. Ian Grant?
Good afternoon, Brother Poncho. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, everybody that's joining us, come on in the room. We're going to have a small discussion with some artists that will be featured at the upcoming Red Dot Miami, which is affiliated with Art Basel. And we'll let Ian Grant give you some background information on the show.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Poncho mentioned, I'm CEO and curator of Umoja Fine Arts, and we're very, very excited this year to take the entire Umoja Fine Arts team, our special artists, to Art Basel. And it's going to be a key event where we're going to have people from all over the world. We've always said if we're going to be a world-class company, we have to position ourselves in world-class atmosphere. Umoja goal, again, overall, is to celebrate the greatest artistic achievement of local and internationally acclaimed premier artists from around the country and from around the world. So we're so excited to have the artists that you'll see that we have with us today that will be previewing at Art Basel Miami. And we'll talk a little later about Umoja Basel and some special things that we're doing in the marketplace.
Well, come on, man. Tell us a little bit about what made you decide to make this move. In case you guys are not aware, people that are joining in, there are a few major art shows that happen throughout the country. Art Basel happens to be one of the largest art fairs in the United States right now. At one point, it used to be Art Expo New York, but now it is Art Basel. It is now a citywide Miami. I mean, I'm telling you, the whole Miami area comes to life with art around this time of the year. People travel from all over the world to this show to see the very best of what's happening in the art realm. So tell me, Ian, what was the main reason you decided to embark on Basel this year?
Well, the main reason why we decided to embark on Basel is because we understand that African-American art is one of the fastest growing segment of the art market. We take a look at our artists and we call it art from the belly. They're bringing art straight from the belly, and they're giving you a flavor of Africa as you take a look at the colors and the movement and everything that's going on in the art. And we also felt that in order for us to help our artists accelerate throughout the world, we have to be in an atmosphere where people are coming in from all over the world. In Miami, you're going to have minimum 3 million people coming in from all across Europe, Asia, and just every part of the world and every part of the continent. And if we're going to play in the big leagues, that's the league we have to play in.
Well, you said a mouthful right there, man. So tell me about your philosophy about Umoja Fine Arts as it makes its debut in this show.
Well, first of all, when we take a look at our Umoja Fine Arts, I'm trying to take the company back to our roots, okay? My background pretty much is marketing, okay? And so basically, we're looking at Umoja Fine Arts as being a marketing and also, let's say, not only a graphic company, but a marketing and a dynamic technological company. So you're going to see some of the things that we're doing, and we're going to use that with the art in order to position ourselves, in order to scale the business correctly. We spent the first year last year after I retired. I came out of the corporate world after 38 years. And we scaled the company up last year, bringing Marcel aboard as the, again, gallery manager to digitize the business. This year, we're working on the POS data. And now we're working on moving our artists across the United States and throughout the world.
Well, you know, the one thing I really like about you is that you have set Detroit on fire for sure. Your gallery's been doing very, very well, and and it's nice that you're going to be taking a contingency of artists from Detroit as well as other areas into this this art fair. We got quite a few of the artists on with us today too, so I'm going to let each one of them in the studio, and you can go ahead and introduce a few of them. Hey, how y'all doing out there today? Everybody looking all professional and everything. Woohoo!
Well, I introduce some of the artists.
How you doing there?
How's everybody doing?
All right, well, we got Mr. Paul Goodnight from out of Boston. We'll let him talk a little bit. Then right under Paul, we got Grammy Award-winning artist Marcus Glenn. We're so honored to have him with us. We also have with us the one and only premier artist, Miss Rosemary Summers, with her surrealism style, figurative surrealism style. And then we also have our gallery manager with us, Marcel Stewart, in his abstract style. So we're going to go down there with a lot of flavor, realism, all the way to abstracts. We're going to go in with our colors and everything going on. And it's more exciting for me just to hear the artists talk about how they feel being there, what they've been painting from the belly pretty much, and what they have created for this show. And they're only going to give you a small sampling today. Understand, this is only a small sampling.
Well, we're going to start with just you and Paul can go ahead and have a little conversation about some of the things he'll be bringing to the fair.
Okay, Paul. Paul will be featuring a total of 4 different images at the fair. And one of the pieces we will not show, but I'll tell you the name of it, is Escape Through the Windows of My Mind. Oh, is it dynamic? It took him at least 5 different formats to paint that painting. You'll see peanut butter and jelly jamming, and I'll hold it right there, and I'll let Paul talk a little bit about the show, what he will be showing in the show, and you know, basically what he expects from the world.
What I expect from what? What was the last question?
And what you expect from the world, you know, once they see your work and everything of that nature.
What I expect from the world.
And the collectors.
Okay. Oh my God. You sure you want me to go first?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We are live.
I know it. My expectations are pretty much involved with giving back at this age, as well as continuing to recognize where the peace in me is, and to challenge myself not to rest on any kind of laurels, because that's not what my mentor's done. So it's, you know, the challenge is still there. To be moved is still there. The education is still there. It's taken me a long way to get here, but the trip, at times I stumble, but I think it's all worth it, and it's not over. So I'm going to rest, and I'm going to listen to what the other folks got to say. Is that my phone?
Well, before you do that, Paul, can you tell us who were some of your mentors over the years?
Yeah, that's great. The one that's mostly known was John Biggers. John Biggers was mentored by Charles White, so on and so forth. But John was a person that I needed the 6 things, what I always feel as though what's good for me to grow. And one was a mentor. John was a great mentor, John Biggers. And he would always clock me. He would call me on stuff. But a mentor is different than a teacher. A mentor is the one that keeps you focused. The teacher is the one that gives you foundation. So I have great mentor, great teacher, Paul Rahilly. Studied under him for maybe about 6 years. And I said, Paul, do you realize how long I've been under you? 6 whole years, man. And he said, yeah, you one slow learner. I said, oh man, that's a cut down. But that whole thing was to have a good mentor, good teacher. Advocacy is incredible. And that's what Ian is. He's an advocate. That he's making a business out of it. But you need that kind of advocacy. It doesn't always have to come from a gallery. It can come from your next door neighbor who believes in you. and tell somebody to go over there and see this work. So that advocacy is one of those things that you really want to, hey, look, you brought this person to me, let me just give you a chip off of this. So, I mean, just as an appreciation. So, teacher, mentor, advocate. The next one is to have a collaboration with other artists. You know, you have to be able to pull and draw from each other, because that's what keeps you strong and keeps you going, and it keeps you from being lazy. So there's no such thing as a lazy artist, because it will just show. And that's what I learned from my colleagues. And last and not least is the loved ones that believe in you, that stand by it, that put up with you and all that kind of stuff. Those are the ingredients that really helped me stay the course. And I just wanted to give you that. If you can use any of it, that's fine. That's what kept me.
Two more quick questions, Paul. Number one, do you paint every day? And then number two, let us know some of the museums that you're in right now, please.
Okay. Do I paint every day? No. Do I create every day? Yes. You know, I have a lot of random moods, so I have a lot of random thoughts. So I'll paint or draw or work on two pieces at a time because they're two different moods. Say, for instance, if I'm feeling very political or social, and want to say something as an advocate for change, I'll have that mood, and then I'll paint something else that's very romantic because I'm romantic. But we all have those moods, and to be able to express them is a great feeling. And the better feeling is to have an audience to come and see, because I think the worst show that I ever had is when nobody came. And I just said, wow, it makes you doubt what you're doing. But then you have this mentor that is giving you all of these things that gives you pearls to keep on going. He would say, and I say this over and over, he would say, your job is what you get paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. Now, to me, that's inspirational words. I can't not remember when I wasn't trying to talk through my hand, express myself through my hand. I had a pretty bad experience in Vietnam, and I had a speech impediment. So it was the only way that I could really, be able to express myself was to draw pictures. That wasn't the beginning, but that was helping me cure. You understand? So I'll stop gabbing and I'll let everybody else contribute.
One last thing, Paul, if you could just move to the side a little bit, can we see that? Is this one of your newest pieces that's right behind you? I mean, it looks so lovely. I just want everybody to be able to see that. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about this piece.
I'm proud. This is, I don't know if you can see it. I just got it framed. It's called The Indigo of the Inner Glow. And it's the sensual piece, but you fill in the blanks. There's no body parts that are really showing, but it's the inference of it. So this is one of my moods. I mean, I have this nice sensual mood, and to have, to play off one painting from the other, it's good to have that balance, because that's still me. That's the truth in me. So yeah, this is it's just finished. I just got the frame. I love this piece. I don't love all my pieces, but I love this one. Okay. Now, don't ask me.
And then just one more question, Paul, you didn't answer. Let us know some of the museums that you're in, please. That's very key and important as we move forward.
Oh, Lord. I don't know. I think I'm in a number of museums. But that wasn't my goal. I know this is part of the sale. But I like to kind of reference this not as a goal, but as a result of, and of course you acknowledge it because it wasn't acknowledged when I was growing up. And the way they treated our work like it wasn't good enough. I said, wow.
Mm-hmm. So since Paul won't tell you, I'll tell you. I'll tell you some of the museum Paul is in, and then we'll move to Marcus Glenn next. He's in the Smithsonian Museum, Hampton University, Howard University, U.S. Sports Academy, Olympic Museum in Switzerland, National Center for African American Artists, Morehouse College Museum, and the Museum of Ghana, because he painted in 4 different continents around the world, which is very, very key and important. And so with that, Paul, we'll be back with you very, very soon. Marcus?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Marcus, can you hear us now? Poncho?
Marcus is having some technical difficulties, so we're going to move to Rose Summers.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to introduce you to our figurative surrealist artist, Rose Summers, and she has some dynamic work that's going to be into the show. Rose, we're just going to let you take it from here. You're from Detroit here in this marketplace. This is your first year. We're all going down to Art Basel, Red Dot. Miami is what we're going to be in. We were curated to be in that show. We have a strong relationship with the owners. So we don't go anywhere unless we're really, really welcome. And we know that we're going to be first class. We're in booth number 204, right up front. The people are going to be waiting on us. The collectors are going to be waiting to see your work, Rose. So let us know a little bit, Rose, what you put together. How do you feel about going down to Art Basel for the first time with over 3 million people?
Oh, this feels so good. In fact, it really doesn't feel real. I mean, I feel like I'm in a surreal moment. I never thought I would actually have artwork at Art Basel. And thanks to my advocate and all my supporters, I get a chance to be among the greats, So who knew I would be connected to Mr. Larry Poncho Brown, the fabulous Marcus Glenn, Grammy Award-winning artist, Marcel Stewart, and of course, my mentor, Mr. Paul Goodnight, Mr. Paul Goodnight is the artist that pushed me on. He would tell me things like, Rose, I'm not really feeling this piece. I can tell you forced the pen or forced the brush. I'm like, how could he tell? He could. So he kept me authentic, original, and organic. So Paul, whenever I'm doing a piece, I think about you. Yeah, you keep me honest.
And that's so great. So what we did when Rosemary first came aboard.
Rose, you keep me honest too, Rose.
I do. Oh, thank you, honey.
That's the idea. See, mentorship is really about giving back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Mentorship is really about giving back. So
right,
it's cycling. So you keep me honest.
Oh shoot! Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Rose, come on, let's hear a little bit about your work and what you're sending down, and what should the collectors be looking for.
I got this one piece I'm really excited about because this is like a universal message. Everybody will get this one. Do you have it to show? Or I got got it here. You want me to show it?
Yes, please.
Okay. This painting is called Hidden Faces. Okay. This painting is called Hidden Faces. And, you know, one of my surrealistic styles is to create imagery that you are looking at but don't necessarily see immediately. And so I love the pop-out effect, or it sneaks up on you. You're looking at an image and then another image is suddenly there. Well, in this particular painting, Hidden Faces, you know, when we meet each other, we see the face that the individual wants us to see. But behind the face we're looking at is the real face that's hidden. And so in this particular painting, there's about 20 hidden faces, but you only see maybe 4, maybe 5 faces as you look at it. But I like to reference the reality of hidden faces. So when you're down at Art Basel and you're meeting people and everybody's hee-hee and ha-ha and chit-chatting, think about this painting and how it represents the reality of human interactiveness and how we see the face, but the real face is hidden from us, the real personality, the real heartfelt person. So this is done in acrylic. It's about, the size is 30 by 40 inches. It's framed, ready to hang. And I just enjoyed creating this particular paintings full of patterns, my signature lines, my zigzaggles. You know, I am the colorist. I enjoy developing relationships between colors, patterns, lines. And so it creates a composition that I feel is balanced and exciting. Hidden Faces.
So Rose will have a minimum of 4 original paintings in the booth. So we're very, very excited. That is only one of the particular originals that you will see from her. And as you see the styles and what we're creating from deep in the belly, that rings out the voice of Africa. It is just so key and so important as we put together the Umoja team. I think this is one of the most exciting team that we're going to see down at Art Basel showing art. So with that being said, we'll move to our gallery manager who works with everyone at this particular point in time. He's only 31 years old. And his artwork and his prominence is building so great. So you definitely want to collect this individual work. He understands the marketplace. He's helped to digitize our business. He's working hard on his art. He has about 6 different formats right now. And it's only been about 2 years. So without further ado, Mr. Marcel Stewart.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate the warm welcome, but this complete time that you're talking, I can't help but to laugh at Poncho, man. His voice in the back of my head, man. It's all love. I love how you placed me, as well as Rosemary and all of the other local artists around international artists. It has not only sharpened our skills, but it's also sharpened our talents. You know, I've always thought, you know, iron sharpens iron no matter what it is, you know, whether it's knowledge being shared, mentorship being shared, or literally just being there and being able to observe, you know, the way you've chosen particular leaders, whether that's in their artistry or the way that they walk out in life, you know. I think you put together a great team here, Ian. But with that being said, something unique about my work that I'm very, very excited to bring to Art Basel is my sense of expression. I really do come from a deep place when I create my work, and I like to express that through vibrant colors. I also like to express that through tons of movement within my pieces. Most of those movements are shown through very heavy body textures. And those textures usually are sporadically put in throughout my pieces, or sometimes in a more organized and structured manner. But nonetheless, the pieces that I plan on showing at Art Basel, I want them to be more so explosive. So when people do walk past them, you know, they can stop and ask the question, and ask the question of what have I been through, or more so, what have I seen, or what made me want to express something of that caliber.
Great, great. Now I know Marcel has one original that's called actually Miami Vice to represent the Miami area. A lot of his work will represent the Miami colors and the Miami area, and people coming in from around the world to be able to go back home and say, hey, this particular original right here is called Miami Vice that I brought in from out of Miami. So yeah, Marcel, some other areas you want to touch on. You will have a minimum of 4 to 6 originals in the booth. So we're very, very excited about that, and showcasing you to the world, along with Rose and the rest of the artists. So excited to have you with Paul, have you with Poncho, who's been such a mentor, both Paul and Poncho. And so right now we had a little technical difficulty with Marcus Glenn. We were really, really looking forward to hearing from Marcus, because Marcus is a Grammy Award-winning artist, and Marcus will be at the show, and he will be having his collectors there. Now, Marcus is usually on cruise ship going right out of Miami, so he has a strong following throughout that Miami marketplace. And wow, I just wish we could hear from him, but I'm just going to let you know that Marcus is going to have 2 originals in the show. And boy, are they dynamic. And he's working on the second one right now. It'll be finished this week, but the first one is just totally, totally explosive. And I'm speaking on Marcus' behalf. It's totally explosive. We're looking forward to having that in the show. So we'll just continue. We'll have Brother Poncho say a few words and let us know what he thinks about the show and coming in. He's not only going to be showcasing an original at the show, but he's also going to have his 40-year retrospective book there at the show. 40 years of painting. Can you believe this individual right here has never worked a regular job? He's never worked a regular job. He's only been an artist all his life. How many artists?
Why you gotta make it sound like that?
Poncho, I'm making that sound positive. How many artists can say? I look at a lot of artists, you know, and basically they had to work another job. Or number 2, they waited until they were retired from another career to start this career. But you came in at what, age 14 or 17?
I was blessed to be put in work study at age 14.
Okay.
You know?
All right. Okay.
So I started off very, very early, went to vocational school, learned how to do sign painting, and was in a 3-year program where on your 3rd year, they would award you work study. But because I was under the tutelage of the fastest letterer in Baltimore City, a female named Barbara Thomas, I learned it in 3 months rather than 3 years. So they put me on work study in the 10th grade. I was the first 10th grader they ever thought about put on work study. And so that momentum got started early. I fell in love with, I can't say fine art or commercial art. I fell in love with art. I've always drawn. And then I found I was naturally acclimated to lettering. And so that kind of forged my path into doing graphic design, and then moving into illustration, then ultimately to be doing my fine artwork. But yeah, it's been 40 years of time to get to this point. So I'm really enjoying all of the things that are happening and all of the nuances that are changing within the business.
Okay, good. So anything else you want to tell us about Basel and how excited you'll be to be down there, actually be in the booth, be with the collectors, be with people from around the world?
Well, this is not my first rodeo. So I've gone to many of these art fairs over the years. So it's just nice to be going back to this one. I came in the heyday of the Art Expo when it was as big as Basel is now. And I've been going out every few years just to check out Basel, because Basel represents all of the hot new things that are happening within the industry. I also like seeing that every year we go back, there's more and more works incorporated by our artists of color. And for me, that was something that I longed to see in the Art Expo days, but it's beginning to happen now. And Red Dot and Spectrum and a lot of the other shows that are affiliated with Art Basel are changing the scope of how we used to view that. So you know, things are changing slowly, but changing nonetheless.
Okay, that's good to hear. Poncho, maybe you could run what we have developed and put together. We have indicated that we're moving more to bringing in my background a little bit, the marketing, and also the technological side from our family, my son pretty much. And so we want to talk now a little bit maybe about Umoja Basel, Umoja Art Basel, because we have designed that specifically for this Art Basel event. This is going to be a little bit different. This is how we go to market. This is how we try to look and analyze the marketplace as we try to take share, as we begin to scale up. So basically, once Poncho starts to show you a little bit of the layout, the early layout of Umoja Basel, I'll start to explain that to you a little bit.
Well, I mean, I don't have a lot to show as with regards to the booth space itself, because that is being designed as we speak. But what I do have is just an overview of the artists that are going to be there. So we'll play that while we talk. But this is a good opportunity for us to show an exhibit with all of some of the best artists in the world. Of course, we got our esteemed Paul Goodnight, who I think every artist has them as their favorite, him as their favorite artist. It's just, he's just so powerful, and it's going to be nice to have the booth represent so many of his works. We're going to be also featuring the late Annie Lee's work, which will be her son, Abi Ilo, is the person who is overseeing her works at this point. And it'll be nice to see some of her work on the public marketplace, because, you know, with all the things that's been happening in the business right now, we got some of our masters who are beginning to fall to the wayside. So I'm glad that Annie's work will be represented. We'll also be showing a few pieces by different artists, so Jacob Lawrence being one. But it's just going to be nice to be in the game, in the place where art is like, whoo! If you've not been to Miami, come on down and party with us. It's going to be all weekend. Wear your sneakers. It's more art than you'll be able to take in a year. But it is exciting. The Wynwood district, down where a Red Dot is taking place, is a whole neighborhood of community galleries. That's one of the things I love about Basel, is that it's contagious. It takes over the whole city when it comes. And so you'll get a chance to see an array of different works, things that you can expect and not expect.
So let me talk a little bit more about Umoja Basel. And basically what Umoja Basel is pretty much is we're putting two key areas together that's been established in Miami over the years, but basically has not been coordinated together. So basically you would have the art shows and the art events, okay? And so we know the collectors and all the people like to be able to come to the VIP event, okay? So we're going to make it possible that everyone that we know, or everyone we want to do what's called a one-stop shopping, where you could come into Umoja Basel and you can register for the VIP event that will be on Wednesday night when the show starts on the 29th, or you can register to get tickets for the next 4 or 5 days, okay? So also you have a very robust nightlife in Miami. And that's basically going to different affairs, okay? And basically some of those affairs might be like the Ace of Spade and Doucet. They're one company where they might be given a VIP event at the Ritz-Carlton. You have to register to get in. So we're going to be working with all of those different groups. And so once you come into Umoja Basel, you can register for the art affair, and then you could register for all the different nightlife events that's going on. That's going to be so many. It's going to be crazy nonstop, to where you can go to musical shows, on and on and on. And so therefore the collectors can get an opportunity to come in on one-stop shopping. People that are coming to Miami saying, where do I go to register for this event? How do I get into this event? Because these events cost $30 and $50, but the nightlife events are basically strictly RSVP, and it's who you know, and you cannot get in. You cannot pay to even get into these events. So Umoja is going to make all this possible for you. So basically what we're doing, we're merging the art along with the nightlife, and we're creating one-stop shopping so people could say, hey, go to umojabasel.com and register for the art show and register for all the major events. So therefore, we should be able to pull a lot of the collectors to us. We're also looking to work with galleries down there. When people come down, they don't necessarily want to be in a gallery. They want to be in these shows like Red Dot. And so we're going to give them the opportunity to be able to say, hey, you can send your collectors to Umoja Basel so that they can register free to be able to get into these different events, because they're not even going to be able to get them in. So this is relationship based. These are things that we're doing, and we're going to continue to build in this different area. He just showed you a quick overview of that. We're going to be building that aggressively in the next 2 or 3 days, and then we'll continue to build from there. But everyone has to register for every single different event that they would like to go to or be able to get into.
Well, that is fantastic. I think that's I'm coming ready. I can't tell you how much this show inspires me. And artists, we inspire each other. But I tell you, when you walk through that much art, it does something to the spirit. I know some people are looking at their microphones.
I think Paul wants to say something.
Go ahead, Paul.
He's just unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Paul. Yes, sir. Oh,
yeah. There's another artist that is going to be in the show. Is Larry Poncho? Well, no. Larry Pierce. And Larry Pierce is an artist that I admire because he was able to construct. We talk very foundational art. He was able to construct geometry with form in a very interesting way. And I kept saying, that is your imagination working overtime, or you're smoking some hell of a stuff. that, you gotta have. But yeah, so I've known him for a while. We've become very good friends, and I said, I want him to get the exposure that he so well deserves. So, and he calls me his mentor too. He can't duck me. So we've become good at, looking at something that you might not see and say, what do you see that's disturbing me? And he will say, well, I'll tell you what I see. And we go back and forth like that. And it's great to know that, the energy is there. That cross-reference energy, that's something that, is really the same. You belong to same. Because, and one more thing, if you don't mind. The other thing, when I was talking about this sensuality, the other piece that I'm working on is called Homeless But Not Hopeless. And it's about the homeless people. And so that's 2 different moods of mine. And it allowed me to go back and forth and create them both at the same time. That's how I work. But yeah, I did want to talk about Larry's piece in there, because I think what he does brilliantly is collectively shapes and forms and the pure geometry of it. So yeah, I copy his ass sometimes.
Well, that's so great to hear. That's so great to hear. I think the people that we're going to be meeting down at Art Basel, and once we develop relationships with people around the world, and again start traveling to other parts of the country, some of the things that we're doing also is my background. I came from the music background, so we're in the process of merging the music with the art right now. We got a project coming up in January that we'll discuss maybe at another point in time. But we know that Motown and the music industry itself, has been able to set a stronger precedence and a faster precedence than us across the world. So we're going to be piggybacking on that, where we're going to be presenting the art and music at the same time. We've done that before in Sweden and 8 Hours Over the Baltic, and that was just a great show, a great opportunity. Another thing that we're waiting on at this particular point in time is to present some of the artists that we have not discussed. These were artists that are some of your Renaissance artists that will be a surprise for everyone. We don't want to let all the cat out the bag right now, but we'll be presenting also some Renaissance artists that people are just going to be able to love to see and be honored to know that they're in our collection, and that they can have the opportunity to also collect and purchase these pieces. So I think this show and where we move here from 2023 is just going to be phenomenal. So this is only the beginning. I'm just so excited about this. So
well, sure, there's a lot of preparation that goes into doing something like this. So maybe you could just give us a little small glimpse of what that looks like as we are what 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out.
Yes, it's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of thinking. It's nonstop working.
Well, I'm sure Marcel got a little to add to that.
Yeah, let me tell you, man, because Ian may be a little humble on that side of things, right? But no, it's putting the right people at the table. You know, it's not just us. It's a lot of minds that's being brought to the table. Rosemary even put in some good ideas here and there. You know, Ian's son put in some good ideas. So we got everybody, you know, trying to chip in a little bit wherever we can. You know, even yourself, you know, put in some great ideas. So as we have everybody putting in a little piece to the puzzle that we have, it'll all come together before December comes. And it's all coming together fine as we see it so far. We've even started working through different organizational structures that's helping us out, you know, as far as the digital side goes. So we won't wreck our brain. And then it allows us to really work more efficiently. You know, let Ian go ahead and do his work. And then at the end of the day, I can go ahead and paint. That's all we really want at the end of the day anyway, right?
That's right.
Right. And I want to say I really, really appreciate, you know, Marcel. He's a very, very hardworking individual. You know, if anybody knows me, they know once I get started, I just get going. And sometimes, you know, we might start by 7 in the morning and, you know, the texts start flowing one after another. But that's what it takes for this business. You got to have the guts. You got to have the heart. You got to have the right people that can back you, that's willing to do it and not cry about it, but want to see where we're going to take this business in the future and how we're going to not only take share and scale, but this in order to scale correctly, these are the things we have to do. Besides having the correct individuals on the team, we have to position ourselves correctly in the market and throughout the world. And that's what we're doing right now. And that takes hard work. It takes dedication. I think about it, as Paul said, you know, I might not paint every day, but I have to create every day. And it's the same thing when you look at Umoja Fine Arts from the business aspect. We have to create every day. And we have to make sure that the business is in line and that we're doing all the things that it takes to position ourselves and position our artists throughout the country to be the strongest while we generate the income.
That sounds like a plan with a lot of focus on it. And so I think, again, everything is all about the team. I'm looking forward to working with each one of you. Ian, do you have any closing words you want to say about the event? Maybe you can give everybody the Umoja website information again.
Can I just is it possible to share my screen? I have it up.
Sure.
If I could just kind of scroll through it.
Go ahead.
All right. Perfect. All right. Are you guys seeing this?
Yes.
Okay, so that's perfect. So this will be the page of umojabasel.com. And in the background gives you a little glimpse, but it lets you know where we are in booth 204 at the Red Dot Miami. And then it'll also give you a countdown for everybody that has those anxiety issues.
What? You mean you?
So it also gives you the information and the location and everything, because there is so much happening down there. Last year was my first year actually visiting Art Basel, Miami, and I was kind of, I would say, turned around by all of the things going on down there. But once you get an understanding of everything, that it is a lot of different convention centers, a lot of different art fairs going on, you'll get a good understanding of where to go and kind of how to map things out. So here you see the artwork and the different artists that Poncho was mentioning, and just a few samples of the artwork.
And I just want to say, if you click on any of those, it would take you into the artist page so that, you know, you can see all their work totally and, you know, what they have to offer. So that's very important, because we are getting ready to go online with Red Dot and create that for the next 4 months, to where, you know, your work will be constantly up there and being featured throughout the world. So that's very important.
Now, under the featured artists, this is where Ian was referring to, you know, the events that'll be updated regularly once you RSVP for Umoja Basel. And coming to the opening event, then you'll be able to RSVP for the nightlife, which could pop up at any given time, and you'll just have to RSVP to get onto the list. But it'll be completely free, just like Ian stated. So
as you can see there, you will see on Jack Daniel events, you'll start seeing Ace of Spades events, Douce events. You'll start seeing events where, you know, musical events, rap music events, on and on and on. We just have to control how many events we're going to put on here, so, you know, it doesn't get out of whack. But we're going to make it so that all our collectors will be able to RSVP to be able to get in and just have a wonderful and beautiful time in Miami. So basically, all you have to do is make it to Miami and get a room. And that's not going to be the easiest thing.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the hardest thing.
Yeah, because we're talking about 3 million people converging on the city at the same time, and just art lovers, and they party in Miami till 5 at night. But I want you guys to know I will be in bed by 11.
That is only talk, y'all.
We don't believe it. We don't believe it.
Well, what about you then, Paul? I said, what about you then, Paul?
What?
I heard you say we don't believe you. So then I said, what about you then?
Go to bed? Yeah, I go to bed, yes.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I just want to basically say from I just basically want to say from the Umoja family, from the Grant family, and, you know, a lot of our family, like my sons, are getting, again, involved at this particular point in time. This is a heavy load to carry. So we're calling on all the warriors and all the troopers, and that runs pretty deep into our family who helped start this business. So they understand that they're coming back to the table to help us position. And we just want to say thank you to all the artists for your hard work over the past months that it took you to create this. We've asked you to create something dynamic for Art Basel, because when you had Art Basel, you want show-stopping art. You want art that not only says what your name is, you want art that people are stopping and they're taking a look at and saying, wow, look at that creativity there. And that's what it's going to be all about. It's not just a name thing when we're in Miami. It's about your art and how it's positioned and how it's going to stop people in their tracks. And I think all the artists have been working very, very hard to that level and to that degree. So again, this is why we call it art from the belly art. And we know that our artists have went deep below the belly button in order to create this. So I want to thank you very, very much, because I know that's very, very hard work. And you guys have created some masterpieces. So thank you. Thank the entire team. Poncho, we want to thank you so much. You've been such a blessing and such a help and such a support. Paul, you've been such a strong leader for us. You know, I mean, in the last month, I've got a few little lashings. I could let people know that. I've gotten a few little lashings in the last month, because Paul is also my mentor on the artist side. So yes, he's not scared to let you know. So I had to clean it up. So, and Rosemary is always there, not only on the art side, but just making sure that I'm keeping the home together and keeping the wife happy. So, you know, she's like, Ian, you got to slow down. You know, I mean, I know the business and this, but you still got to do these things at home in order to keep the home life going. So thank you very much, Rose. And Marcel, you've always been there. You don't complain. You know, I push. But this is what it's going to take, especially as a minority company, to get us where we need to go, and you understand that. And Poncho, you tonight with this program is very, very dynamic. Unfortunately, we did not hear from the great Marcus Glenn. So, but he's a fantastic individual. He will be in the booth. We look forward to both him and Yolanda being at the show.
Tell me a little bit about him. Hey, Ian. Yes. Tell me a little bit about him.
Okay. Well, Marcus Glenn has been painting. He originally started with Umoja Fine Arts back in 1996 until he blew up and he went with Park West Gallery. And so Marcus has been producing art and working on all the cruise ships pretty much. And he's number 2 in the company with that particular company. And he's just such a fantastic artist. And in 2014, he was nominated and won a Grammy, you know, for his work. And
is he can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is he self-taught, or is he like Rose? Rose is self-taught, but her imagination is explosive. So is he self-taught, or went to foundation school?
Well, Marcel, maybe you can answer that a little better.
So Marcus, he was formally taught, but the way that he creates now is from a creative aspect. He does not create like in a normal style. He's creating with different mediums and collaging them in an effect whereas it's his own style of art now. So he's creating beyond the normal 2-dimensional element that that a normal artist, right? A normal fundamentally trained artist would even be trained to do.
Yeah, he's creating in a 3-dimensional style. And he's very, very hot right now. We were fortunate to be able to even get him to come down because he's really, really backed up. He's like, his work right now he's probably 6 to 9 months out to get anything from him, as far as any of his originals is concerned. So we were just honored to be able to get him to come down and spend the week with us. Like I said, he started out with Umoja Fine Arts, and then he went on to Park West Gallery, where they really, really invested a lot in him and really, really blew him up. So we're honored that he's come back home. And he's come back home, Paul, because he realized one key thing. You can get big, you can make a lot of money, but you need to be known in your own community. And that's very, very key and important. So that's one thing that Park West is not doing for Marcus Glenn. They know him around the world. They know him in the Caucasian community. But in order to be known, it's nothing like being known in your own community and to be a household word in your own community. And Umoja means unity. And those are some of the things that we do, is to help take you down deep into our own community, our own backyard, because that's what we're all about.
Let me ask you another question. What is your feeling about auction houses?
Well, I think they play a very, very important role, Paul. I think auction houses, like anything else, and that's a great question because you lead me into what I say all the time. They don't really understand our business as far as African American business is concerned. To me, it's like when you say an auction house, okay, who control a lot of the narrative in this art business. It's like saying in the 1930s, you know, we got the Negro Baseball League and we got the major leagues over here. But you know, those Negroes, they could play real good and they could hit that ball and they could run real fast. But over here, we got the major leagues, you know, with Babe Ruth and all those type of guys. But those guys could run pretty fast. But you saw what happened when they brought Jackie Robinson in, when they brought Satchel Paige in, and on and on and on. It changed the narrative of baseball and basically what happened and the talent. So for me, and I'm going to quote this, and I quote this all the time, I think that our artists are stronger than what's in the mainstream right now. And I think our colors that we're using, the way that we paint with our paintbrush, and everything that we're doing, I just think that we're more qualified and we're producing stronger artists. And they do not understand our artwork, Paul. That is the reason why they had an Ernie Barnes piece that they felt would sell at $200,000, and it sold at $15.2 million. All the time. Romar Bearden is there. They felt it was going to sell for maybe $100,000. It sold for $5 million. I mean, they're missing the mark, not just by $1,000 or by $100,000. They're missing the mark by millions and millions of dollars. So they don't really understand our business. They don't really understand our narrative. Well, but the problem that we have, Paul, and I'll let you speak. The problem that we have as a people is that we're not enslaved and we don't have chains and cuffs on, but we're still in bondage mentally. You shouldn't have asked me to go there, Paul. But we are still in bondage mentally. So therefore, we need to wait until the Caucasians or the other persuasion come to us and say, you know what? Paul Goodnight or Poncho or Marcel or Rosemary is worth this much. They're on this level, so then you should collect them. And then we're like scrambling and trying to do everything and say, oh, we can't afford them. We can't get them because they now said that they were worth this much and that they should be on this level. And we have to come out of that.
Well, Paul, to answer your question, Paul, I believe that the auction houses are just becoming aware of what's happening in the African American market. So, yeah, we hear about Kerry James Marshall. We hear about some of the other Art Basel, some of the other artists now that are beginning to at least earn zeros for their work. I'm not impressed by Ernie Barnes' $15 million deal on his best piece ever promoted on TV. But at least it's something that has not been happening. That's happening more and more often is that artwork, our artwork, people of color's artwork is now at least making it to the auction house. Because for many years, it was not even a priority for it to be there. And I'm not even satisfied. Hello? I'm not satisfied with the value of our master's artworks in the museum circle. That's more important to me than what's happening on the auction level.
Okay. Now, you are aware of the auction house, the black auction houses now, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of them beginning to come together for. Do you have the name of the one that's coming out now?
Savannah has done very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the 19th. The one in Savannah done very well. The exposure and the education is there.
Mm-hmm.
And so
times are changing, and I think that's an area we need to be looking at to see how things are progressing. I don't think it's an end all, but it is an indicator of the interest.
You build an audience of like minds who will basically understand you, because nobody's journey is easy, and we have all been a part of something else. And I think what's happening, because I just looked at the Black Auction House. In fact, if you look at it on your cell phone or iPad or whatever, you will see that the prices were very decent from the last one that they had. Mm-hmm. And that people go of the pandemic mode, and they're decorating their houses, but they're also investing. Mm-hmm. And they're really trying to develop a knowledge for who's what and that kind of stuff. But really, art is like prostitution and drug dealing. It's not really that regulated. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that people will buy it and establish the amount that they're willing to pay for something like that. For compensation for whatever you want to live in your house, and say for whatever reasons, we don't know. But that's good. And
so let me give you the range of the prices.
Incredible prominent.
Let me get a range of the prices of what the auction house that Paul is talking about. That's a black auction house that just sold different originals. They range anywhere from $200,000 to $2 million. Okay. The next auction is coming up is on the 19th. And I'm very proud to say, because Mr. Modest Paul will not say it, but in this auction on the 19th, the marquee piece for this particular auction, where one of the pieces sold for over $2 million. The marquee piece this year is Mr. Paul Goodnight original, one of Mr. Paul Goodnight originals. So we're watching that pricing structure. So the pricing structure that we have in gear for Paul right now can either double or triple based on what happens on the 19th. And that's just the bottom line.
Well, that's the nature of the whole auction world. It's going to keep us. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I was go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was going to say that now that African American works of artists of color beginning to show in that marketplace, it's just going to be an exciting thing to keep looking after. It's going to keep changing, keep evolving. The game is really going to change, and that's why Art Basel is so important. It gives you a chance to see how things are moving, whose works are being represented, whose works are not being represented. Because at the end of the day, it's all about exposure. And if work is not being seen, then it won't be held in esteem.
And some of the things that we saw when we were at Basel last year, or we felt pretty much, was that we saw galleries that was featuring African-American artists. And sometimes they would just rather purchase the artwork from Caucasian galleries than from African-American galleries. Or they would rather purchase the work from Caucasians that's producing African-American art, because African-American art is throughout the entire shows, but a lot of that work is also being produced by Caucasians, and that's just their format.
But that's always been the foundation of this business. Some of that is changing. We have more Black gallerists that are participating, more artists participating than ever before. And so it's just a matter of seeing how things are manifesting. Sometimes we spend so much time talking about the trials and tribulations that we don't exactly admit how many advancements have taken place. Do we need still need things to happen? Absolutely. Is it happening at a snail's pace? Absolutely. But we are beginning to see changes in the realm of African-American art or Black art in America based on the acceptance and exposure of this work. And so it's an exciting time to see which artists are being represented, what type of artists are making it into the. I see many craft artists that would have been in a whole separate category, now that it's made an evolution to fine art. So now you can be from another discipline and trickle down into this market. It's just interesting to see how these things are melding together. You have commercially successful artists that had a hard time making it into that format. but now you see Charlie Palmer and some other artists beginning to now, because they're in people's collections and estates, the work is beginning to trickle down to the auction houses. I went to see Maya Angelou's collection at an auction house in New York quite a few years ago. At that time, it had a John Biggers piece there, a Faith Ringgold piece, some Rosemary Bearden pieces, and some of Paul pieces. I mean, some of Charlie's pieces. And the highest piece that sold was Biggers that was there for. And at that time, it was still $100,000. Well, I'm not going to be real excited about the auction house until those numbers go up.
And this is the reason why when we were walking around last year.
A long way to go.
Yeah, we have a long way to go. And this is why when we were walking around last year, we said, hey. Go ahead, Paul.
There really is no plateau. What's happening, for at least for me, is that the elders just send down the elevator. And they say, it's your job now. So I don't want to ever lose face of that, regardless of the commercial part. And they send down the elevator, you better be there to get on and start raising tour up so you can do the exact same thing. That, to me, is people answering their calling and using their best voice to express themselves. That you can live the rest of your life satisfied when you know how to basically make a lot of the corrections from mistakes that you made throughout life. Follow?
Follow.
So you can do it in your artwork, because that doesn't lie. But you have to basically have that foundation so you can change, so you can grow. It's like the tree, it's like that you put that little apple in the tree, got that apple seed in the ground, and that seed, what do we say, grows a tree, and the tree grows apples. That's the natural order. The evolution is what I'm really talking about. You put that seed in the ground, and it grows a tree, and the tree grows apples, and the evolution of apples is apple sauce, apple cider, apple strudel, all those different kinds of apples. That's the evolution. So we have to keep that up. Sorry for preaching.
No, I agree completely, and I just want to say, as the youngest artist on the call, I honestly never thought that I would be at this stage in my life. Even at 30 years old, I didn't grow up really doing art all of my life, like full throttle as an art career, because I did grow up in the 90s, and that's when they really started to take art out of the schools, and I was kind of reintroduced to it, more formally. But that's what kind of led me to a more so self-expressionistic side of things. But to see now, 40 years advanced from when you guys were probably creating and having collectors collect your pieces, now they're getting passed around to, let's say, museums, being collected to museums or donated to museums or into auction houses and things of that nature. The fact that we can even talk about Black art in this nature, I think it is profound, from what I have seen in my lifetime. At just 30 years of age, they degraded art as if it meant nothing, just as a young child. So to me, I've always thought, because of my peers, that art was less of value until I have, built a different circle, and now to see other individuals at a higher mindset, and not only a higher mindset, but more accolades, even if those accolades aren't formal or they don't come in a monetary way, they still show that the art has been recognized. And I think that's the profound thing that we have to look at as Black individuals, for sure, because we're doing this together, for sure. Absolutely.
And I just want to say, too, at the same time, I left the music industry to come to the art industry because I saw an industry that was underdeveloped. Okay. So I felt there was great opportunity here to be able to bring a lot of the tools over from some of the other areas and taking a look back from, again, the sports industry, not only the music industry, but the movie industry, on and on and on. I think this is one of the last Mohicans, this industry right here, that still has to be developed and the tools have to be put in place. So we have said that we're going to make the investment of going to Art Basel, not only just for 1 year, but for a minimum of 3 years, so that we could tap into what we have to develop, and we have to strategically develop ourselves technologically wise, and we have to market ourselves correctly, and we got to get our artists positioned correctly around the world, from the museums all the way to all the narratives that we need to build on.
Can I cut in for a minute?
Yes, please.
Can I cut in for a minute, please? The thing that I want you to see, and I'm sure it's happening in Baltimore and Detroit, most of the major cities, that are painting and drawing images of us 10 feet, 3 stories, 4 stories high, blows my mind. And see, that's how Italy started its Renaissance period. It said that he who controls the image controls the mind. And they created this Vatican where they had all of these artists and sculptors and stuff come in there and paint, and make the Catholic Church the greatest apostolic invention in the world. And it worked, because I mean, even now they still talk about the Pope, they throw up the smoke and see who's the Pope. They haven't, they're still using that, but the imagery that they created is permanent. People go to the Vatican and spend all kinds of money to see the Sistine Chapel and all the sculptures and stuff like that. Financially, it's continued to do that. That's controlling the mind and controlling the image. These muralists who are graffiti artists and turned into muralists that can take a can of paint and spray some shit that I ain't never seen before with colors that really blindsided me. I said, you guys are tattooing the town. And there's one fella, pro-black, who I work with, or who I watch work. He just did a mural over there in Detroit, Michigan. Unbelievable. You got to see some of his work. And Mark Gate 27. I'm learning so much from them young men. That's the other thing that we have. They are being responsible for who they are and what they admire and what they believe in the culture, unbelievable stuff. So I hang out with them until it goes up to the cherry picking. Then I said, I'm sorry, brother, I got to get off.
Well, I guess everybody can
say that.
Rose, are you unmuted now?
Yeah, Rose is unmuted.
Yes, you had me in jail.
No,
you had the woman in jail.
I had you at work.
You had the woman in jail.
No, the woman's not in jail. In jail is when you're off the screen completely.
Oh, okay. Well, I was in solitary confinement then. Anyway,
okay, it's all yours, Rose.
Okay, I just want to say, I'm so glad to see you, Paul. I haven't had a chance to chit-chat with you in several months. So it's just good to see your smiling face and then to hear you. And you too, Larry Poncho Brown. I felt like meeting you, I met a brother. It was like this fantastic man who has all of this wonderful experience. And I just want to say that, as we talk about what is not happening in the art world with Black folk, we can also talk about what is truly happening in the art world and how we can continue to collaborate and develop strategies to not only promote what we're about as artists who are working toward our goals and objectives, but keeping the young people in mind And there must be a platform. There must be a system in place so that young people coming up as artists can go to that specific place and know they can get support. And so we know that there's, you know, organizations in Detroit, the Detroit Fine Arts Breakfast Club, where Marcel and myself came from. And then there's other entities being developed. But at the same time, historically speaking, I've been a part of many different organizations here in the Detroit area, not necessarily connected to art, but they no longer exist. And they don't exist because there wasn't the structure and the passion and the desire to keep the process moving forward. One thing I know, this is not a trend. A lot of time people think of things like this happening where everybody wants to be an artist all of a sudden, that this is something that's trending. This is not a trend. This is the reality of African-American artists being acknowledged as fine artists. And it's the Paul Goodnights and it's the Larry Poncho Browns who give credence to the fact that we are artists. So we set the tone. We set the standard. We are the ones who will say, yes, this is worth $100 million or whatever. So it's up to us to set the standard and to be serious about it and to support, continuously support. So I like supporting other artists that are coming up. I learned that from you, Ian, by you supporting me and introducing me to Paul and putting me in a exhibition with the great Paul Goodnight. That just changed my whole mindset. It was like overnight, like boom, boom. And so when that happened, it made me believe in what I am capable of doing. And so I keep developing, keep evolving as an artist. And so the same way with Marcel. Larry Poncho Brown, I have your book, your magnificent book. If you don't have Mr. Larry Poncho Brown's book, please get the book. That's a historical piece of information you must own. And it should be in every household, especially since, like Marcel mentioned, they've taken art out of the schools. No, they may take the art out of the schools, but they can't take the art out of us. So we have to make sure that people are aware of these things. So we got to keep talking about it. So your Larry Poncho Brown's book should always be talked about. You got to continuously talk about it. And so there's things that we need to be talking about continuously as artists so that we can drum these ideas and these concepts into the minds of people who are paying us some attention. Because we have a platform. The social media platform is very real. And before this little kid who was born 2 weeks ago figure out an algorithm to charge everybody to be on social media, we got the stage. So let's take advantage of the power that lies within. Great power. I guess that's my cue to shut up.
No, can I piggyback on what she said? Because I was just gonna say I think it's great how she points out, you know, everything that you guys have done, and what I really see in Paul Goodnight as well as Poncho is, you know, continuous, strung out, never stopping diligence, you know, unwavering is, you know, day in and day out, to where it's not forced, you know, like how Rose mentioned Poncho's 40-year retrospective book. I'm not even 40 yet. So to just think someone has been painting that long, you know, for someone like that to, you know, ask someone like me, how many times do I paint? You know, it makes me question, you know, my own methods. For someone like Paul to say that he's still framing pieces, you know, it makes me think to say, okay, wow, you're still painting. it's no telling how many paintings he has done because he's been painting for so long. He's been creating for so long. So it's unwavering diligence. It's the need to express. It never stops. Your soul never dies. And that's what I see.
And so with that being said, and we're talking about Poncho's book, The 40-Year Retrospective, we will have that down at Art Basel at the show. We would also like to announce, because I think it'll be coming public very, very soon, that Umoja Fine Arts and Paul Goodnight will be working together to develop his book, which will take us the next year and a half. And we like to keep everything in the family. So we have brought Larry Poncho Brown and his team together as the creative director to help publish Paul Goodnight book. So you see how this works? We keep this all in the family.
Yeah, there you go. You keep it moving, cyclic, keep it moving forward. Yes.
So that means Rose and Marcel, very soon, your book.
All right, here we go. I'm ready.
So it's gonna take us about a year.
I mean, I have a question. I do have a question for someone like Paul in this nature, right? If you're releasing, let's say, a book to come out, and you've been creating work for, I don't even know how long, but I know it's been decades, right? How are you?
Centuries.
Well, I'm not saying it like that. Come on, Paul. I'm not saying it like that. But
I couldn't help it. I had to jump in on that.
How are you grasping these images? You know, how are you saying, okay, I want to put this in a book. I want to put this in a book.
Paul's on mute.
Yeah, he just unmuted himself.
Oh, okay.
Am I on mute now?
Yes, we can hear you, Paul.
Am I on mute now?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Okay. The short question was.
How do you choose the images that you will? Like, how would you choose the images, or how would you even go about finding the images?
The idea is that you're always changing. You're always evolving. And in each stage of your life, you can look back and use that as a part of your example in your story. This is your story. Ain't nobody else can tell you that. You know,
right.
I mean, I started doing art, not because I wanted to be an artist, but because I wanted to get the attention of the opposite sex. I wanted women to like me like my boy Butch Milliner. And because Butch can draw a stick, you know, and women would go, ooh, Butch, that's so beautiful. I said, that ain't shit. And I would draw it, and the woman would say, thank you, Paul, that's nice. I said, this ain't working. Then I realized that Butch was very handsome. So Butch could draw blindfolded, and women would go crazy about it. So
okay.
That was my purpose. That was my purpose, because I knew I had a little bit of talent. So that was my purpose at first. And then I went to the NCA, and that was the National Conference of Artists. They still have, what's Shirley Woodson, who is part of that?
Yes.
Yeah. That sealed. There was so many brothers there with content. They had Afro Cobra. They had John Lockhart. And I can give, there's a host of people. And you realize how serious these people were about the content, the experience. We would have meetings and stuff. So I guess I was being forged then. And then, you know, John would make fun of me. Yeah, and he would tell me, he would say, we was in Africa, and he came up behind me and he asked me, say, hey man, he said, you think you're an artist? I didn't know who he was. I said, yeah. He said, you ain't no artist, and he walked off. I said, you know, I said those words. And you know, because I said, I don't know, who is this cat, man? Next day I'm back door after planes and stuff. He came up behind me and he said, Yesterday I said you wasn't no artist, right? I said, yeah. I said, you are an image maker. Now he's lifting me up. He didn't step on me the first day, but now he's lifting me up. And I'm saying, oh shit, I'm an image maker. And and people would come back here when I got back to the States and they said, oh, there's that artist. I said, no, brother, I'm an image maker. And the brother said to me, shit, everybody's an image maker. It depends on what kind of image you're trying to make. What are you talking about? I talked to John. I said, John, you said I was an image maker. I said, yeah. I said, but John, everybody's an image maker. He said, now I can teach you.
Oh.
That's the kind of energy that I came up in. With Alfano and Jeff Donaldson and Nelson Stevens and all of these people, were forging me, like I was saying, set it down. And it's my turn.
That's right.
So to draw something means that you're drawing something from life, something that that you can finally express through a visual. I couldn't talk. I had speech therapy. I came back from Vietnam. I was all fucked up. But man, I found my calling.
Wow.
That's amazing.
We need to have a talk like this on the Afro Cobra movement, because I'm really interested in that development and the time period that it happened in.
Well, Afro Cobra was
1 week after the other Nelson.
When I went to Basel, I went to Basel about I guess it was 3.5 years ago, when the Afro Cobra exhibition was running concurrently with Art Basel. And so I got to meet all of them before Nelson passed away. It was a beautiful exhibition. At the time, they didn't have the catalog printed for the book for the show. But when I found the company to print my book, they sent me 2 samples, and one of the samples was the Afro Cobra book.
Wow.
So I knew right away that I was on the right track.
Well, make sure you let me know how to get a copy of the book, please. If it's published where the public can get it.
Well, Ian,
Poncho has always been able to sneak into people's booth and somehow come out with a smaller little original or whatever.
That's the skill.
He's been doing this all his life.
Rose, I know. I'm very familiar with his daughter.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Rose?
Yes, I can.
And I'll ask his daughter if he can get. I'll ask his daughter, Nelson's daughter, if he can get you a copy.
I would be delighted and honored.
I don't know.
Well, thank you so much. Okay. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ian, I think we did a pretty good job of giving an overview from each artist.
Go ahead, Paul.
You know why, Rose? I'm sorry. What'd you say? What'd you say? Because the way you refractorate life, Nelson refractorates life too. It is patterns and stuff. Not the same way that you do, but but that it has that same kind of connections. So remember we were talking about how the black just draws you in, but you have a lot of movement and you move that black around.
Yes.
Yeah. So that
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it because in the early 1960, from 69 to 1980, I was creating like that. And I knew there was other people creating like that, but I didn't know who they were and where they were. And so I'm just excited to see the work because I can imagine what I'm going to see. So this thing called imagination is a powerful thing. So I can't wait to see the work.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing I tried to teach is that I like the idea of jazz is because it's improv. You know what I mean? Jazz in itself is improvisational.
Yes. Yes.
And your imagination is full of improvs. So
Absolutely.
if you break it down, you say the idea of image. And if you're talking about improvisation, you're really talking about improving.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually improving on your image. That's what that whole thing is. That's the connection.
Yeah.
It's improvisation and imagination combined. That's what your shit is, Rose.
Yes, yes. You're right. I'm like 100% with you on that. In fact, I was looking at a documentary about Toni Morrison's work as a journalist, and all she talked about throughout this documentary, which is on Netflix right now, is the imagination. How she takes from her imagination and creates all of this language, and it's like that's what we're good at. We African Americans, the imagination is very strong and powerful. And so to use it in a way that benefit others along with ourselves is one of the most powerful things we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, this is a good time for you to give us the information for Red Miami one more time before we head out.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say this is really, really a historical evening. And again, Umoja Fine Arts, Art Basel, Miami Beach. The show is going to be from November 30th to December 4th. We're going to be in Red Dot, booth number 204. We have VIP passes for your passes all week. Please go to umojabasel.com. That's Umoja, U-M-O-J-A, Basel, B-A-S-E-L.com. You'll be able to register to come into the show. You'll be able to register for all the VIP events in Miami. And our VIP event kicks off that Wednesday evening from 6 to 9. Please let all the collectors from around the country know to come to the one-stop shop location, umojabasel.com. And I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. This was just really, really great, creative,
Ian,
energized atmosphere tonight.
Ian and Poncho. Ian and Poncho, thank you all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you, Poncho.
I just wanted to thank you. I didn't know how much I wanted to do this, but thank you and Poncho for putting this on. Got a chance to meet Marcel, re-meet Rose in person. Hair's a different color.
Oh yeah, my hair is a different color. Oh my goodness.
Thank you both.
You met me when I was in black, now I turned white. See? That's how long you've been gone. You gotta stick with me, baby. You gotta stick with me now.
So I gave the information. With that, Poncho, I'll let you close out. Thank you so much, Poncho, and thank you as we drive the team, as we grow this team, as we scale up to take share across the world. We're so honored to have this team in place, and a lot of this team came from the 20th golden century, the golden era that we will be talking about a little bit later. So this is where my connection comes from with the artists from way back in the 90s, is from the golden era. And we're going to continue that into the new era, and we're going to scale and take share.
All right, y'all. So until next time, see you down at Art Basel for Red Miami.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. That was good.
Yeah.